I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Wow, we've got a lot to get to tonight and really going to focus on one part of the story of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And I want to begin by talking about getting married, right? When two people decide to exchange those vows and become husband and wife and you know, till death do you part. It's an amazing time. It's an amazing moment. It is filled with what we call marital bliss. You're on cloud nine. Everybody's happy. Everyone around you is celebrating this union. And it's the newness. You're now like, wow, we're married. And there's this happiness that is supposed to surround that moment and that time in your lives together. But for Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, it wasn't about marital bliss. It was a marital mess. Think about everything that we've heard in the courtroom, right? About what happened before they finally got married in 2015. All the fights, all the blow-ups, the names, all these incidents. I mean, it's insanity. It is chaos. You know, this up and down, this like, I love you, I hate you. It was toxic for all those years. And for these two, we are now, through this trial, experiencing their relationship. And it's something that the jury has to figure out about what really was going on. So when you've got Johnny Depp on the stand, and he's talking about this marriage, and Amber Heard, he terms in a way, it's like I married my mother. And he spent so much time talking about the abuse at the hands of his mother growing up, how difficult it was, and he ended up marrying someone just like mom. I mean, that was his testimony. It's not a pretty picture, right? Like, if he had a great childhood and, you know, he still loved his mother, but like had this great life, and hey, I married someone just like mom, just like dear old mom. But it was, I married someone just like mommy dearest instead. Much different scenario. That was the picture. Now for Amber Heard, who did she marry? She got up there and told us that she married the monster. This man who abused her before and during this marriage. And even after they split and knew that they were going to be separated, he continued abusing her, emotionally, physically. It's a horrendous picture, horrendous picture. So when you get married, right, there's like this time period shortly after you get married, right? It's like the honeymoon period. And for some people, it might last a few months. For others, a few years. And for those lucky folks out there, the rest of your lives, right? That honeymoon period. Well, part of the honeymoon period for Johnny and Amber was their time in Australia. Johnny was down there working on Pirates 5. Amber wrapped a project in London and flew down there. And we've heard the accounts of what took place down there. And this is just like a month after they're married. A month after exchanging vows and saying, this is it, I have found the one. It's you and me, kid. Slim and Steve, Johnny and Amber. And this is like a month later. Take a listen to their attorneys at the beginning of this trial, giving their different versions of the chaos that was happening in bloody Australia.
You will hear evidence that the people who cared about Mr. Depp were encouraging him to have a prenuptial agreement with Ms. Heard. But she rushed the wedding date, and he agreed to get married without one. After the wedding, again, people close to Mr. Depp encouraged him to consider a postnuptial agreement. When the topic came up, Ms. Heard became outraged, as she always did, at the suggestion that Mr. Depp might leave her. She became so violent, in fact, she threw a vodka bottle at him that hit his hand and exploded. It severed the end of one of his fingers. You'll see pictures of Mr. Depp's severed finger and learn about his emergency medical treatment for that injury.
As you go through those 3 days of Australia, some pretty horrendous things happen to her. He rips off her nightgown. He has her jammed up against a bar. He has hurled bottles and bottles at her. He has dragged her across the floor on the broken bottles and the liquor. He has punched her. He has kicked her. He tells her he's going to kill her. He hates her. He's pounding at her, pounding her. And then he penetrates her with a liquor bottle. That's the Johnny Depp that you're going to hear about in this case.
And that was the honeymoon period. Didn't last long. Did not last long. So what we're going to do this hour is go through this entire scenario, this chaos in Australia. Let's begin. Let's bring in a couple of experts, guests joining me tonight. In Los Angeles, California, clinical and forensic neuropsychologist and associate professor at Pepperdine University, Dr. Judy Ho is with us. And in River Edge, New Jersey, family law attorney Janelle Weinstein. Great to have you both here. A lot of tension in the air down in Australia when Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were together. Again, this is like not too long after the wedding. I want to begin and take a listen to Amber Heard's take on what was going on down there and what was creating the tension in the air.
At some point early in that evening, he pulls out a bag of MDMA. I asked him what it was, and he told me it was MDMA. And I was surprised because at the time, that was, you know, there was no question mark as to how I would respond to that, or so I thought. It's like, why would you even think that that's okay? He had already gotten clean and sober. That was, you know, touch and go, but he took a handful of pills, and I didn't count how many, but when I came back downstairs, I did the math on the amount that was left, and I think it was either 8 or 10, I can't recall as I sit here now, either 8 or 10 pills. We get in an argument. He was accusing me of Eddie Redmayne, and by this point, he thought I was working with Billy Bob Thornton on the movie I had just shot, but I had already worked with him a year earlier.
Okay, Dr. Judy Ho, as I'm listening to Amber Heard describe the situation in Australia, once she gets there, it's Johnny Depp breaking his sobriety, and Johnny Depp also accusing Amber Heard of sleeping with Billy Bob Thornton, Eddie Redmayne, who was her co-star. I mean, so the tension from her perspective is all because of him and the drugs and the jealousy.
Right. And of course, this is Amber's side of the story. I'm sure that Johnny will have a very different account of
We'll
what
get to his
there.
in just a second. We'll absolutely get to his in just a second. That's the way we roll here. But tell me about Amber Heard. Tell me about Amber Heard and these concepts of, you know, one partner's, you know, got some issues, breaking sobriety, allegedly very jealous, creating the tension here.
That's right. And again, you know, Amber right now is saying, look, Johnny was the instigator. He was the one who was supposed to be sober. This was supposed to be a nice trip. We were supposed to have a nice time, celebrate, relax. And here he is bringing all this tension into the marriage. I don't know if this was really the first time that there was chaos in this relationship, though. I believe that it was probably there from the beginning based on all of the accounts that we have heard. And this is actually something that they're used to, this push and pull, and they're fighting and making up. And maybe in the beginning it's exciting, and then at some point it doesn't excite them anymore, and it's just terrible, and everybody feels bad at the end of it. But I believe that the chaos was likely there from the very beginning, but in the beginning, it feels more like excitement. It feels more like an adrenaline rush, that dopamine rush. Maybe it actually caused them to fall more in love with each other in the beginning because of that perception of excitement.
Yeah, Janelle, I know you have to deal with folks after they're no longer in love. But here it looks like the honeymoon did not last long at all. This is like a month after they exchange vows, and there's this tension already In Australia, Amber Heard's perspective, the tension is a result of his lack of sobriety, his jealousy. Classic, right?
Yes, and the interesting part here, right, the honeymoon didn't last that long, neither did the marriage after that. So, like your other guest said, they started out in chaos. That's what they know. They both came from chaos. And so here they are in this relationship, getting excited by it, getting bothered by it, getting frustrated by it, getting violent by it. And by the end of it, here they are, this 3-day argument, blood, bottles, allegations of sexual abuse, and it doesn't take long for this marriage to be over. So I think that's very telling. And when people are getting divorced, they are at most of the time at their worst stage. But in this relationship, I think the stages have all been bad. I haven't seen any testimony, if you believe either side, where this relationship had the real honeymoon stage. It was always chaos, codependency, and violence.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad on many different levels. Now, let's get to Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp testified also about some of the tension in the air and what was the cause of the tension down in Australia. Here's Johnny's version.
What did Miss Heard tell you she was upset about when she arrived in Australia?
Miss Heard told me that the attorney that she met with was rude and dismissive, and all she was being shown was an example of a postnuptial agreement. What really surprised me was that she kept saying, "I'm not even in your will. I'm not even in your will." I thought that was an odd thing to say. Especially since I don't think anybody had had time to change wills or anything of that nature. So those things just didn't, it felt wrong. All I could do was try to calm her down and say that I was not out to screw her over or put her in a position that was uncomfortable.
Did that work?
These were stock, these normal things to do. It did not work, no. It escalated and escalated and turned into madness, chaos,
Can you please
violence.
Okay, Janelle, first clarify for us what a postnuptial is and how well do they go over? Like, I understand like a prenuptial before you get married. Okay, let's take care of it. But now, hey, we got married, but hey, take a look here.
Well, a postnuptial agreement is an agreement during the marriage that talks about the issues in the event you got divorced or if in the event you're going to pass away. And what happens, though, is postnuptials aren't always that enforceable, so there's real issues with them to begin with. But the conversation was started, and whether it's a prenup or a postnuptial agreement, it becomes a very tense situation, even in the best situation. So here we have these two volatile parties, and the attorneys have to have their clients put on this cap, like in the event something happens to your spouse or you, in the event you get divorced, we've got to look at these issues. And it is a very tight rope to walk so that people don't get upset because they're like, we're just in our marriage. This is the best time of our life. Why do we have to talk about this? So postnuptials aren't necessarily all that common. People like to try to get them and have an agreement because there's a question of the enforceability. But certainly here, this conversation wasn't going to go over well with these particular parties, and it's not surprising at all.
Yeah, it's another honeymoon killer, I would call it, the postnup. Okay, Dr. Judy Ho, Janelle Weinstein staying with us. When we come back, We're going to go from the tension in the air to the first allegation of real extreme violence and alleged sexual assault by Johnny Depp. The victim, the accuser, his own wife, Amber Heard.